So this video is going to be about when you're in the early parts of this and you're stuck. And I got a comment from a person, and it was basically, they say, "This is where I'm stuck now. She has moved on 3 months since the split, but here I am still stuck. Your videos do have perhaps help. Perhaps I'll actually be able to move on someday." See, part of the problem, or part of the issue with this, one, you don't understand exactly, sorry about that. You don't understand exactly why you're still stuck. And I'm going to talk about this in the context of toxic narcissistic relationships, because that's primarily what we're dealing with here. But I guess before I jump into that, I'll just say this. I mean, if you're in a relationship with somebody and it falls apart and you're still heading down the road where you're, I'm not going to say fixated, but you're planning on, or you have in your mind that this is a long-term relationship, if you wake up one day and the other person says, "Hey, this just isn't working out, I'm gone," you're going to have to deal with that separation. And what I mean is that, the other person may have been like, "Hey, if you've been dating for a little while and they start to lose interest, by the time they're ready to leave, they've already been working through their mind why this relationship isn't working. And by the time they get to the point where they say, 'Hey, this is over,' they're emotionally disconnected and done. You, on the other hand, are blindsided because you haven't had the opportunity to process it and deal with that. Okay, that's normal relationship stuff. Where it really gets complicated is whenever you're dealing with somebody who you've been in a relationship with that's toxic, high conflict, narcissistic, borderline, some other type of underlying issue, which means they won't give you closure. There's all these other issues. It's hurt you more. It's harder because you're still connected. There's also a thing called a trauma bond, where when you get kind of like in this infinite do loop or this feedback loop with a person who has been toxic. Remember, it's not that they've been toxic 100% of the time. It's an ebb and flow. Sometimes they treat you great. Sometimes they're giving you the carrot. Sometimes they're hitting you with the stick, so to speak. When you're in that mode, you're constantly chasing that validation, that I don't know what the word, I'm trying to think of the word. Validation isn't really the right word, but you're trying to think of the attention that you're actually getting from them, and you're striving to get that. You're striving to get that dopamine hit from what the relationship is. And a toxic person, when they've decided that they're done, they just kind of wash their hands with it. They peace out. They go find another suitable target and start living their life. This makes it really tough to heal from. It's very common. It's like in this person where they were saying they're a few months out of it. Let me get back into it. 3 months since the split. 3 months is really early, especially for a complicated relationship. Let me roll back for a second. If this was a normal, healthy type relationship, more than likely when the breakup happens, you're going to have a conversation. It's going to be, there's some type of closure. There's some type of communication to where you like, "Oh, okay, I understand this." You feel like you understand what happened. What are the lessons learned? What could I have done better? What could they have done better? Where were we compatible? Where we weren't compatible? That's a normal relationship. That's a normal, healthy relationship. Toxic relationships, you don't get anything. What you get is, "I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. I hate you. I've now found the new love of my life." And you're sitting there going, "What the hell just happened?" You're shell-shocked. You're completely blown away by this, and it makes it really tough. Now, I got to be cautious on this. I mean, when I'm talking about the two different types of relationships, because somebody who comes to this and they're just having a hard time with a breakup, 3 months isn't that long. You have to keep it in context. And then somebody else who's looking at it, I mean, here's the deal. It took me a couple of years to get over my thing. Granted, I was with the person for 2 decades, but all the things I'm talking about was part of the problem. It was like there was no closure. It was like hot and cold, and it made no sense. There wasn't any really good conversation about it. There absolutely wasn't any closure. It made no sense. It's like, how can you have a long-term relationship with somebody? It didn't have to be a long-term relationship. How can you have a relationship with somebody where all the communication was that it was a solid, rock solid let me try that again. Rock solid relationship on a firm foundation, and then it blows apart in 1 second, and you're like, "What the hell happened?" You have to give yourself time to process this. And what I'll say is, if you're new into this, and you're struggling like this person's talking about, go into my main channel. I'll try to put a card up above and look for my videos of absolute thinking, black hole thinking, and the videos beyond that, because it really deep dives into this. And if you're dealing with a high conflict toxic relationship, those videos will probably really resonate with you, and they can really help you. Part of the issue is, and what the feedback loop that people get into, especially in the early stages of this, is you start looking at it second guessing yourself, that you're trying to come up with answers. In other words, with the absence of closure, you're asking yourself why. And then you start thinking to yourself, well, I'm thinking maybe they fall into this cluster B, the personality disorders, and that's what I'm thinking the answer is. And then you start second guessing yourself. You're like, well, I'm looking for answers, and this is a convenient answer, so I'm thinking it's this, but it's not really true. It's really something else, or they're not really that way, and then it just kind of screws you up. This is why absolute thinking is really important, because it helps you in that regard. Whenever you're second guessing yourself and you're constantly looking at what's happened and trying to find the magic answer as to what has happened, it'll drive you nuts. You have to give yourself time to heal from this. Another thing I just want to mention, on my website, dadssurvivingdivorce.com/resources, there's a book in there, Rebuilding When Your Relationship Ends. Incredibly helpful workbook. I would highly encourage you, if you're struggling with this, to get this, because it'll give you a process to go through, or a pathway to go through, to help you understand what you're dealing with and to help you grow. Incredible book, really helped me a lot, and it really helped me think about my relationship in different ways. It helped me think about my relationship in different ways, it helped me think about myself in different ways, and it helped me to reevaluate going forward how I was going to enter relationships, communicate, set boundaries, and all those things. All very critical things. So I would encourage you to check that out as well. Bottom line is that give yourself time to process this stuff. Do not beat yourself up and be ultra hard on yourself whenever you're struggling, because the reality is it's very, 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 very common to have these issues. So for the person who's going through this, that 3 months since the split, but you're still stuck, take a breath. Allow yourself time to deal and process with this whole thing, and understand that it takes time. When you're stuck like this, it takes time. It's not going to be one of those things where you're going to just go out and everything's going to be, in an instant, everything will be great. The other thing I'd like to mention, if you have friends that are telling you just need to go out and get laid, do not do it. If there is a chance that you are dealing with emotional abuse, whether you're a guy or a girl, getting into another relationship puts you at risk, because if you haven't healed the fundamental wounds that allowed or set up the scenario to where you were able to get sucked into this in the first place, the likelihood that you will do it one more time, and the universe will give you the tremendous opportunity of burning yourself to a crisp to learn the lesson again. Don't put yourself in that situation. Give yourself the time to figure it out, to look at what's going on, and to really try to determine what ultimately happens. You will be doing yourself a tremendous service if you do that, and you'll be doing yourself a tremendous disservice if you don't. Anyways, hopefully that was helpful. If you are new, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell notification. Do me a solid, put a comment down, share this video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.